Okay, so there's the, you're all talking about Lafayette. So it's Choices on the corner. choices right there, and then you walk past the what's that next spot. They built that they turned that building into something else, like a theater and stuff like that. Yeah. That was golf.
Okay.
That was golf. That's what all us high school kids would go to back in the 80s and stuff like that. Then it was a bunch of clubs. It was Golfries, and right there with the gas station was another club. It's called Signals. Now Signals played house music, but it was also more weirder people than me than my peoples going down. That's before I even switched off. Before I currently switched from being like a, I was on the like I didn't crisis band. I didn't know what I wanted. I had street homies and I had good homies. You know what I'm saying? My good homies was the nerd guys,
right?
And they dressed it. That's when the whole rayon pants and you look like MC Hammer. You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff. We had that going on. So I was caught between, and I was a drug dealer too. So I was caught between being a thug and a nerd. And
right.
I didn't know if you call me a nerd or something like that, I'll probably punch you in your mouth.
Right.
And then somebody like, you need to make up your mind who you want to be. You just can't just keep banging people in the mouth because they called you a nerd. And I was like, I ain't no nerd. You know what I'm saying? I just like the people I hung around with because they was more positive people. It was fun,
right,
to hang around with. It really wasn't about me trying to be, because I was dumb as shit. I don't care what nobody. I was dumb as hell.
Not that dumb.
But I just liked those guys because they was just so fun. And my sister, she really was a nerd. She was a nerd. She really was a nerd. And I liked it. I liked to hang around with those type of people because it was fun. And there was adventure. We weren't stuck in the hood.
Right.
We were just going all over the place. So that was that. As far as me. But first, I initially started as a dancer. I got a homeboy, and he used to mess with my cousin, and he's a DJ, and he did a party, and I'm gonna tell you what his name is. He did a party, and I was like, wow, I really want to be a DJ too. I like it because like I said, in order to be a breakdancer and being in the clubs, I was always buying records.
Right.
So I kept buying records, and I should go ahead and just be a DJ. And this dude I know, my homeboy, his name was Nafo.
Okay.
Nafo is the guy that made the song, You the Bomb, Stretch Marks. When I was looking at him, I'm like, hey, I want. He was doing the whole. This one we had like 3 radio stations. We had WEBB, WWIN, V103. No 92Q. 92Q didn't come out until 1992, and that year. That's why it's called 92Q. If you don't know why it's called 92Q, been around the game for a long time. So that's when 92Q was born, 1992, right after a Summer Bowl. The same year my Summer Bowl. So that's how that turned out. So I started DJing, started listening to and watching DJs and stuff like that, and I gotta get into this. But it costs money to be a DJ. See, back in the days when I was young, we didn't have stuff like Sereno. We didn't have DVJs and all that stuff like that. We had basic turntables. And I had to start off real cheap, so I had to get the real cheap turntables with the belt drive in there. And it was horrible and stuff like that. Plus, I think the first thing everybody when I was in my game, the first thing everybody wanted to do was learn how to scratch.
Right.
That was the first thing everybody wanted.
That's still today.
Yeah, I was scratch. I was learning how to scratch. And then come to find out, back in those days with turntables, you had to have arm control. So you just couldn't just scratch and think that you're going to have, it's going to be that simple to just scratch. Because you had to have arm control. And you got to worry about whether the needle was going to pop off the turntable. So you had to learn arm control, weight control, this, that, the belt drive is hard. So I had those there. It was, you can get any turntables from any components. Component set. You know what I'm saying? Anybody know what a component set is? A component set is when you go buy a whole, your parents will go buy a whole stereo system and it comes with tape deck, a tuner, what you had to get, and then you had to go buy these mixers. Back in the days when I started, Gemini was the joint. If you got a Gemini mixer, you was bad. You know, then later on they didn't get certain, so they started doing having new marks. New marks was like the expensive stuff. So I got tired. I wanted to start battling, but I knew I couldn't battle with these ragged ass belt drive turntables. So I had to get some 12s. I had to get 12s. Back in the days, 1200s was smuggled into America. You couldn't just, nobody wasn't just going to buy 1200s. And they was like about, you can go buy a pair of 12, like one 1200 for like about like one 1200. You can buy one 1200 for about like $300. And that was a lot. That's a lot of money in the 90s and 80s.
Yeah.
You know, I just saw. Good thing I was a drug dealer / nerd.
Right.
So I went and got the 1200. I got the 1200, and I got a mixer. By then in the 90s, we had these mixers. They was the awesomest mixers ever, and they was the first mixers that was done where you could take the crossfade out and buy another one. They were called mixers. They was Gemini Scratch Live. They was like Scratch Live, but it was not Scratch Live, you know, Scratch, but it was Scratch Live. And they were about this small. You know, because everybody's do tricks and stuff like that, you know, backspin. You know, you know no big mix about this, you trying to do a backspin stuff like that. So I actually had those. And they came with an effects button. And the effects button had like 4 seconds of sample time. 2 seconds, like 4 seconds sample time. And we used to rock that. And I tell everybody, at the end of the day, everybody got it, but nobody could rock a sampler with a mix. Nobody could do it better than Booby. Booby was the man. DJ Booby was the man. If nobody know who Booby is, you better ask somebody. You know, he does his mix live too. Mm-hmm. Booby was the man. I'm talking about. He was the one that he was actually the first guy that started doing the first guy I heard that started mixing club music with slow music.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, this dude is awesome. He lived. I live like I said, I'm from the village. Mm-hmm. He lived in Poplar Grove, so we lived right across the bridge from each other. Mm-hmm. And then you know we just knew each other because my baby mother, you know, she knew him. Mm-hmm. My first baby mother, she. And they lived on the same block, so we met up with each other, but at the same time, I was also part of a dance group. Mm-hmm. I was still dancing. I wasn't the B-boy anymore. I was still dancing, and I was part of a group called Total Chaos. Total Chaos was one of the biggest groups back then, and there was 2 rivals: Total Chaos and Almighty Mickey's. We battled each other all day. We battled each other for girls. We battled each other for what's name, and we had Descendants. You know, they had the Baby Mickeys. They had the Baby Mickeys. We had the Horsemen. They was our Descendants. The Horsemen. And they, because they're all from the village. And, you know, a lot of the Mickeys were from Murphy Home, Lexington Terrace and stuff like that. So, you know, if nobody don't know about them, ask about it. That was in the 90s. What else when we go there? Other than that.
After that, let me see. So that explains how you kind of danced your way into it.
Yeah.
And then, so your whole thing as being a DJ came from you dancing and loving it.
Me buying records. Me buying records too.
Because that's important to know. Yeah. That's really important to note about how the beginning of not just club music, but club music for the sake of this cast.
Right.
Is how much money and investment.
It was a lot of money.
Go into it.
Yeah, it wasn't no, and I'm gonna tell you something. It wasn't no go online and download.
Right, it was nowhere
any music. You had to literally go and buy the records. If you don't get that record, you screwed. And them songs meant something. And then there was certain types of records that you had 3 types of records in the DJ game. There was the LP, which was 1 or 2 songs on there. Then there was the whole album. Now back in them days was when you buy records, the album was lower than the actual LP.
Right.
The LP was raise your out on real high so they can hear you. We didn't have stuff. We didn't have stuff like gangs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You just had a master and you had the levels on the channels and stuff like that.
And see, that's why it pays off to be a nerd, because it gets real. I understand that it was very technical.
It was very technical.
Much more technical than now.
You know, I didn't really know what I didn't really understand when everybody when it came to the new game and everybody was talking about BPMs. I'm like, BPMs? What the hell? What are you talking about?
See, that's true.
This is digital talk.
Right.
I think it's because of the BPMs. I'm like, BPM? What the hell is a BPM, bro? You read the numbers. I said, oh, the number that y'all see, what y'all see on the digital stuff. We didn't have digital stuff. It was all analog. Everything was all analog. So we learned how to mix solely off of the ear. Our ear told us how to play.
And that's how. That was when. Perfect segue, because the next thing I was going to get to ask you was about even making music. Because yes, you are a DJ, but then you eventually ended up a producer as well and making music. So that ear and being able to hear that is what influenced probably the sound of a lot of what you made initially. What was your first? How long were you DJing, and what did it take for you to start producing? And what was your first music?
I didn't start producing until, like I said, I started producing like 96.
Okay.
Like 96, I started producing, and the thing was I was a rap producer.
Okay.
You know, I was still doing the club music, but in the 90s, you had the option of doing club and hip hop and house music.
Right.
You know, what I don't want to stop. That's the story that they don't be stuck. They talk about that later on that line. But I can talk about that. But before I can talk about that, I can also tell y'all when the birth of club music.
Yes.
Okay. Now the birth of club music also came in 1991, 92.
Okay.
And then people need to understand that. Now, at that time.
Now, is that a debated fact?
That's a fact.
Or is that a fact? Like
that is a
fact. Period.
That's a fact. Baltimore Club was 1991, 92.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Right.
And
I've heard different answers in like different songs, and it's like, no.
What songs?
Let me try to think. The last time I had a conversation was a long time ago, but I remember someone telling me that it was a song from the 80s. I don't remember which one. Everybody always says, it escapes me. But what is it then?
The actual,
yeah,
the actual original
the
song.
actual song is the birth of Baltimore Club.
Is the original birth.
Yes.
Y'all already know the actual song of Baltimore Club. It was supposed to be a house song, but it was / house, hip house. Crossover. That song is the one and only Dick Control.
Dick Control.
Dick Control.
Dick Control.
Because
I was gonna say that, but I
Dick
remember that
Control.
wrong.
Dick Control actually was
By
considered.
Tap, right?
Yeah, it's by Tap. It was considered to be a house track, but
So what made it a Baltimore Club song?
because on the other side it was a song called "Get Busy, It's Your Birthday." Yeah, it's your birthday. It's your birthday. It was a straight house. It was a straight hip hop track. You know what I'm saying? And the other song was "Shake That Ass, Girl, Make That Pussy." But that was yeah. So that initially was what's that? But if you want to really get that to the creator of the Baltimore City club track, you had to go. It was forefathers, and they said the forefathers of club music. Okay, one of them was Sean Caesar. The other one was Scotty B. Scotty didn't really make no tracks. The guy that energized, he made tracks. Scotty just played tracks. Yeah. But and then there was, because Sean Caesar, when they made the song called Yo Yo with a Hose in.
Right.
That was that. Then there was the Newmarks. Catalyze. They made tracks. Then there was who was the other guy? It was, because I don't want to miss him. Patrick, DJ Patrick, and Frank Ski. Now Frank Ski, he came out with a whole album. That was, you know, people don't understand like the era that Miss Tony played. Okay. Because he was part of all of it. Right. Everything. You know, he was doing house music real heavy. He was coming from house world. And he hooked up with Frank Ski. And Frank Ski used to just make beats. He would combine hip hop beats with club beats with Miami bass beats. And that is the original format of club music. Because it came with the hip hop beat, it came with the club part, and it came with that Miami 808 bass. Right. That is the original format of the club music. And then they also, one thing everybody don't understand too, it had that dirty, grimy, gritty sound that the Baltimore City Club, and that's what the Baltimore City Club was based on. So like I said, even if you talk to somebody and you want to talk about Baltimore's sound, like Baltimore Club, with BmoreThanDance Club or Philly Club or Jersey Club, they're still the same thing because they're actually taking it from, it's all coming from the Baltimore Club, but it's this different format. Baltimore Club was always a grimy, gritty club song. Always. A song. Because with Baltimore Club music, they talk about the same shit. We talk about having sex, fighting, and getting real high. That was Baltimore Club music. You know, if you listen to the average Baltimore Club music, you know, it was always grimy, gritty format. Like I said, we're talking about fucking, we're talking about getting high, we're talking about fighting. That was a Baltimore City lifestyle. Anybody want to know what's going on with that? So, in the 1990s, that's how it was. At the Godfrey shutdown, everybody started. When did Godfrey shut down? Do you remember the year? In the early 90s. Early 90s. So like in the early 90s. 92Q was there yet? 92Q didn't come out till 1992. Okay, so the Godfrey's that wasn't on 92Q. But Odell's was here. Shake and Bake definitely was there. You know.
Was Shake and Bake always high school parties?
Yeah. It was a wreck. Yeah. It was a wreck. You know. And Frank Ski did that. Frank Ski was a part of all of it at a certain point. And there wasn't, you know. So there was a world of club music without the radio. Yeah. Well, yeah. Kind of. Was radio playing club music like that back then? Yeah, because they played house music. They played house music. They would actually connect house music with that. But, you know, it was a situation where, so, at one point, people were just like, no offense to nobody who was faggy music, whatever music, whatever. The Baltimore club music didn't start really. It was popular because all the kids was like, okay. But then it became really popular when the drug dealers started getting into the club. Interesting. And they would get off, they would stop, they would hustle all day and go buy their clothes and then come to the club and rock off and hustlers. It was always this one dude from that crew that can dance over club music, and he would pump it up. Not to mention the fact that it was 100 dance groups. Yeah. Dance groups. I mean, not like dancers, groups. They was like gangs. They were like gangs of what's name, and everybody would come down there. Club music was based like the whole goal of club music. I'm just going in there. Girls would come in there. I'm going to see who guys that can rock off, shake off. Guys would go to the club like, I wonder how many girls going to be down there. And that's why a lot of it was going in. And then because we didn't, there was no alcohol. Right. There was no alcohol because nobody wasn't going down there to get drunk, nothing like that. It was the fun. It was the fun of going to the club are the ones that got all the girls, and people just wanted to go because it was a party.
Right.
It was a party. It was hot as hell in there. It was hot as hell.
It's hot as hell.
Sugar Bake was hot. They ain't had nothing but a fan in one room. It was hot. Hot as hell. But you look forward to going there.
So when that was coming to pass and club music itself was becoming more popular and eventually spreading to other clubs, because I know shortly after that, that's when the Docs opened.
Well, let me tell you something, and this is the funny thing about it.
Okay.
Remember I told y'all earlier about I started going to this club called Fantasies?
Yes.
Fantasies is the original Paradise. The person that owned it, Paradise, Wayne that owned Paradise, they owned it Fantasies. But they had to move because they was going to that whole. At that time, they didn't have the light rail coming through there. The light rail wasn't coming through there at all on that street. So he went and before everybody started going to the docks had you still had your membership card for Fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
Those rails was only allowed into the docks. Yep. So
It was exclusive, low key.
it was exclusive, and then the only thing that was going to the docks was only people that was going to Fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had that fantasy card, because when they shut down fantasy, like they would tell us, hold on to your card, you got something coming up next.
Right.
So we were like, okay. And then at the time before the doc started really playing, showing up club music, the docs was playing house music all day, every day, all day.
Right.
And it was just only for just members. And they would throw like shows and stuff like that, but it was only for the members. And then later on, everybody would start coming. They would come down there, like next thing you know, like every Saturday, go down to the Paradise. And they're like, okay. But before they went to the Paradise, Hammerjacks was right across the street. And that's where everybody started going at before Hammerjacks, before the doc started letting everybody come in. Because at the time, they were still just letting certain people going to the Paradise. Because everybody was going to Hammerjacks. And then that's when they decided to do the whole, the whole football place, like that place.
The stadium.
Yeah, the little stadium. And then they was like, they was like, shut it down. And basically, they were like, shut it down. Then everybody started going. That's everybody started. Huh?
No, Maya told us that the fan was loud, so we could barely hear. But now we're good. Okay, but no. Alright, so about that, let's get back in the time machine and come back home for a second.
Mm-hmm.
When you and everybody was going through how club music started and it became to be a thing and was spreading to these different, what's it called? Did you guys in the beginning know that club music was going to get as big as it got? You had no clue?
Or we just loved it.
Because that's one of the things that with this series I always want to look at and focus back on. It's okay. See, that's why we're going to do 2 hours. We acting like we home because we are. Yes, you can come in. Look, it's perfect timing. Me coming to the thing and saying hi. It's a family.
I'm gonna put my one in.
Okay. No, well, it's too late now. Come say hi. Because I'm going to interview you next. I should make it just a double feature and capture all y'all since
Who you know right now, Mumblez?
Yes. Look, everybody. Join. I haven't seen you so long. Join me.
It hasn't been that long. She sees me all the time.
That's a lie.
In the Love
You
Club?
gotta get out of his seat though.
Yeah, it's still going in.
Oh,
I
you're
thought
just
you were
interrupting.
saying-
No, come sit. You can like come be like hardcore in it. But that's neat. CEO of BmoreThanDance. All kinds of cool stuff. Everybody's here. The whole family's here.
Not your
No.
phone, my phone, bro.
The question I was gonna. So you're saying that you didn't have the foresight. You walked in at a good time. It's the juicy part of the conversation. When club music first started, you all didn't realize the movement that it was about to be, or it was just a situation where this is just what you love for real.
We just like party.
And just like
It
party.
wasn't about going, because we weren't even thinking about, because we had our own, at that time we had our own personal issues
Right.
with up north people at a certain time. So it really wasn't about that. You know what I'm saying? Because even when you was doing club music, you wasn't focusing on trying to do the next club song.
Right.
You were just focusing on trying to do the next hip hop song.
Right.
So everybody was still stuck on, I want to be the next best rapper.
So at what point in time did you realize that club music was gone and it blew, because it turned into such a internationally known thing, and now we can see today how incredibly influential club music has become. And, what it means to music and black music, period.
Well, like at a certain time, it didn't really started getting. People didn't really start really. Only person that really took that to a certain level was Frankie and Kevin Lyles. That's the new marks.
Right.
They was the one that actually took it to a whole nother level, because they actually started adding the rap lyrics to the club songs.
Right.
And they were trying to push it all over. But overall, the club music was based off of chants. Whole bunch of chants. We didn't be like, yo, where the hoes at? Or get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, or shorty, you fat. Nobody really wasn't trying to go to that level, because it was all chants. You know what I'm saying? So if it's all chants, like, ain't nobody trying to hit a whole bunch of chants. But that's motherfuckers in Baltimore City.
But, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how it was.
But then as it turned out, that was a complete lie, because everybody loved to hear you.
Yeah, later on down the line, we're talking about in 2000, like in 2005, that's when everybody was like, hey, we might need to, we might need to take it to a whole nother level. And not too many people did that. Not too many people did that, took it to a whole nother level until, I'm not going to lie, Black Star, I used to be like, Black Star, what is he? He was my ultimate rival. So every time he made a track, I made a track. You know what I'm saying? But he started singing, and I was like, oh my God, he can't sing. Why does he sound like that? And it was like, but it's like, he can't sing, but I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Like, why is he singing? Bruh, no auto tunes, no nothing. It was just him singing. I'm like, you wouldn't go to Apollo singing like that.
No, right, but it worked.
It worked for him. It was like, wow. Then that's when everybody started doing really the hip hop, adding hip hop to the club music.
When I interviewed him a couple weeks ago, he was talking about his first tracks, and how he made that. And I was asking him, kind of, because he did contribute. That is the answer. He is the one who kind of made the music. That
took it to he the one that actually broke it and took it to that next level. And I'm not gonna lie about it.
Like, that's what it is. And I was asking him, how did he do that? Because he was telling me, about how Total was his first track, and then Get My Gun came next, and he was always talking about Get My Gun, and going back to that raw, gritty sound.
Because Get My Gun was a raw, gritty.
All he did, he was like, there are two sounds in that track. He was
gunshot,
and the
that beat, and that's what everybody liked. And I'm like, get my fucking gun.
His cousin.
And
it was like, he's like, that's all it is. It's simple as
it was real, the simplicity of it.
It's just hard as shit. And like, to this day.
The simplicity of it.
The song 20 years old now.
Just the gunshots. I don't know what's up with Baltimore City with gunshots.
I don't know either.
I don't know what it was.
Something about the damn
gunshots.
But
the damn gunshots was, it represents the grittiness of Baltimore.
Exactly.
And it's like, all right. So, everybody was just, and then, overall, he had some nice songs. He had a lot of nice songs.
So many.
He had a lot. Black Star was the only DJ other than Raw Lee. Raw Lee was doing stuff too. But because Raw Lee he said a little chant stuff. Raw started rapping too.
And he will rap, yeah.
Right. But other than Raw Lee, Black Star was the only DJ that played nothing but his tracks. When he mixed,
right, we were talking about that too.
He played nothing but his tracks. There was only two DJs that was doing it. It was him, and it was Rod. Because Rod made a whole lot of
much music.
Yeah, he had bangers. You can go to Raw Lee and you can make a whole CD off Raw Lee.
Yeah.
Just by itself. You can do a whole set of Raw Lee joint. That was another. Say What? He's doing a lot of he makes a lot of stuff with his stuff too. But Black Star, I don't care what he mixed. It wasn't nothing but his tracks.
When's the first time that you experienced other people experiencing club music not in Baltimore? And how did that feel?
I say, I think the first person that I acknowledge that our music outside of Baltimore City was Sega.
What? I knew you were going to
It was Sega.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was after we had.
Was that when he played here, or you saw him up in Philly somewhere?
Well, Tigger knew him.
Okay.
And that's how I was supposed to went up there and went to DJ out Philly, but K Spin and Tigger they was dealing with Sega.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, Sega he's the pipeline.
Yeah.
You know, like he is what that's how I learned from him saying the same thing. Like he saw club music through the internet,
right.
low-key, like first, and through just being between there and Jersey,
right.
You know, like what Tamil was doing and everything.
Right. Well, no, I'm sorry, Tamil. I knew Tamil. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know why, but he was Jersey.
Yeah.
But he used to come down,
right,
and he used to do club music with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew Tamil. That's my
he
boy.
was saying
there was a big battle between him and Tigger. It was phenomenal because they was going at it so bad. This battle with each other. It was we had an instigator. We always had this instigator out the club scene.
Right.
We still got his name. His name is DJ Fry. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, Fry. I gotta put you out there, bro.
Uh-oh.
I gotta put you out there. You caused a lot of problems in the club game, bro. Caused a lot of problems. Caused a lot of beef. So sorry. I'm gonna pay for it because he gonna go online, gonna talk about me like shit. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna start calling him. I'm gonna start making threats. Start talking about him and stuff.
Well, like
but
1997.
he was the instigator of the club scene. And I don't care what nobody says. If people beefing with each other about club music, like different producers, if they beefing, most likely Fry started it. You know what I'm saying? That's facts. That's facts. You ask anybody that say you go on DJs when they say it. So, yeah.
So as far as what the club scene looks like today, and I say that because, like right before this interview, what were we saying? We're saying like, well, the club scene is like a ghost right now. It's like
it's not as strong. It's not as strong as it was back in the day.
I hesitate, and I never want to use the term the scene is dead because that's a relative thing, and that's part of example of why I am talking to you as our established OG, because you are among the oldest and you are of the beginning, but you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
And you're still very, very present within the scene. So those of us who remember the old days, shut up, those of us who remember the old days, we can talk about all the different clubs. We can talk about, you know, the million dance groups. We can talk about even the multiple radio stations at a point in time that the city had. But those of us, you know, who are like 21, 22, we never saw any of that. So they don't know that there is a scene to be dead. You see what I mean? They don't understand. Then you have people like me and me who like kind of like stand right in the middle. We grew up with what you're talking about. We turn into adults with what you're talking about. Yeah. And we have all created our own situations, but we're kind of dealing with ghosts.
See, one thing I told everybody, back when club was strong, when we was young, we used to go to all the clubs. As we got older, when we started drinking, then we had to dress up. We had to go to the clubs because we started drinking. And then everybody was going to clubs, pick up ladies, drink real hard, and party. After you turned 20 years old, 21 years old, there was spots that was, the older spots was playing club music. Right. That's how strong it was. Even, you know, now, you know what I'm saying, you know, kids, they get older, some of them don't even party. Right. They don't even go to the party, which that's another reason why it's died too. And the one thing I told everybody too is that the club scene was based off of the DJs. Okay. The DJs actually was the one, because there was one time you had to be an exclusive DJ to get the club music. Right. So some of us that wasn't, I wasn't no big DJ. You know what I'm saying? I had to deal with people like Mike Crosby and Rod Braxton and all stuff like that. And those are the guys that was actually getting the exclusive club music. So, you know, it got to the point like, you know what? Fuck that. I'll make my own club tracks. That's when Mike Mumblez started making club music. And then I would go to clubs and I would play my club music. And then they were like, well, where you get your club tracks from? Oh, I made this. Let me get this. Nah, you ain't getting shit, yo, because you ain't giving me the tracks. When I wanted that Feel Me track, yo, you didn't want to give that to me, yo. Why should I give you my track? No, you did, yo. Fuck you, Mike Crosby.
You still mad?
No, man, Mike, that's my man. Mike Crosby, my man, and so
of course.
Yeah, that's my man. But at one time, they was harboring the tracks. They were like,
well, you
nah.
It's like Pokemon cards back then.
They was harboring the track, like, nah, I ain't getting this track. And I was like, okay, I'm in my own tracks now.
I asked Black when as far as his music getting spread, you know, nowadays when you have producers, part of the issue is producers struggle with getting their music played. And they have to go to the DJs and DJ, please play my song.
Well, like I said, at
Black
one time,
he was like it was backwards because he said what happened was he would go to parties, he would DJ, people would hear it, and then people would then go to the radio station, like, radio station, do you have this song by Black Star? And they'd be like, what? So then he was like, it was more of a thing where the radio stations would chase them.
Let me tell you how funny.
The other way around.
Let me tell you how funny, and that's true. Let me tell you how funny that was. Because we had tape decks, and we can record. We can record it, and then it doesn't matter how long, as long as we had the track, we will record it.
Right.
I gotta go back to it.
Go ahead.
But if you didn't get it, you always go to Fry. You go to Fry. Fry got the tracks, cause Fry was dealing with everybody, and Fry would sell you the tracks. So that's how people was getting that track.
It was definitely a big out the trunk type of movement with it.
Yeah. How you get? He like, I got the tracks. How much you gonna give me for it, man? One time they were selling an 8-track, $400.
Nice.
$100 for an 8-track.
Just one.
Just one.
How hot was it? It had to be hot. I mean, it was
a shit. I know. I had that motherfucker. So I just refused to do that. And what happened was, I had to get into the club. Because if you get into the club, you can get the tracks from anybody. And then it became a trade-off. You know, I got this track. You know what I'm saying? I got this track. I trade you this track for that track. And that's how people started getting it, you know. And then what happened was, it was never just that one DJ. Okay, I'm going to get that track. I got 4 or 5 other DJs that's on my team. They're going to get that track too. So that's how it worked.
That's why the team thing was important.
It was, yeah.
Man, all right, so what's the, as far as today, what would you like to see happen next?
Oh.
No, that's good. Look, it's perfect because we're going to use the last 12 minutes. You're going to need this, bro. For terms of where you are, and again, keeping in mind our situation with this pandemic, which is shut down so many places and so many ways.
This should be.
What do you think we should be doing? What direction should we be?
Well, I would say right now. Right now is at the bottom part.
Right.
And then it's like basically what they had to do. They would have to start from the very beginning.
That's what it feels like. It feels like we're in the beginning.
Yeah, we got to start from the very beginning because at one time the club music wasn't jumping. So
at what?
Yeah, at one time the club music wasn't jumping. So basically it's like a restart now. A restart. But the biggest problem right now is, like I said, when we was you had to get in the clubs to get hot, to make noise. These days, there are plenty of clubs.
Okay.
There's just not no DJs.
Interesting.
There's not enough DJs that supports.
You probably the first person I've ever heard say there's not enough DJs.
It's not
Usually
enough.
It's the other way around.
there's no DJs. There's no DJs. And when I say there's no DJs, I'm not talking about there's no DJ like you know how you got the old guys like I'm a real DJ. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there's not enough guys hungry enough to take themselves to the next level to get in these clubs to make the difference. Mm-hmm. You know that there's plenty of places that they can do, but they got to get into these spots. You know, and a lot of clubs they want DJs. They don't want a whole bunch of DJs playing just club music. You have to be able to get in the club and play everything.
Right.
You know, and that's where the problem was. You know, when we got in the game, we wasn't just doing this club music. We was doing hip hop, we was doing reggae, we was doing go-go, we was doing everything. So if you come to club and all you're doing is just playing club, and you know that your crowd is dominated with a bunch of hip hop heads, you're not gonna get the job.
Right.
So the thing is a whole restart. So a lot of guys gotta be like, hey, I'm trying to be in the club, and what can I do? You got some guys that's in the club that young guys in the club and just don't know how to. You got to be versatile to get in the club because they want to have somebody that can be able to rock everybody because everybody don't like club music.
Right.
Everybody don't like hip hop music, but you got to have that DJ that can play all of it and sounds good when he's doing. And sometimes you only got a DJ, you only got a mix. You just got to have that energy. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know how it is. You got to have that energy for that club. You got to know your crowd. You got to know what they want, and you got to play for everybody. And one of the things is, a lot of it is with a lot of young DJs, and they don't believe in mentors.
Yeah. They
don't believe in mentors. Like you got these young guys that talk so much about your old head, but you need that old head to get you, because sometimes it take an old head to get you in the door. That's how I got in the door.
But at the same time, there's a lot of old heads who are.
Well, we're not worrying about them.
Who are? Okay.
We're not worrying about them because I'm not speaking for them.
I'm saying you are.
You
said what?
Can I chime in?
You can if you want, because I'm gonna end up having to restart it anyway. Because we're about to hit the minute mark. Because my thing, let me say this first. My thing is, that's why it's like, no, you're important because you are but of a few who are even willing to and have it in your heart to be able to sit and say, nah, I'm gonna still, because you still consider it yours. And you know, it's like it's hard to find the right. And like you have a billion DJ. Well, you're my DJ that
yes, like, and I can't say this.
It's like there's so many people who would not be DJing.
And I can't say this. And that falls to a generation, not the generation before mine. That's a generation. No, listen. There's a generation of DJs that can help another DJ out.
Right.
But their ego is so bad that they turns other young people down.
And that's a lot of the problem that I know that's a lot of the younger ones see now, because again, when you're looking at the younger ones who don't have the experience, and I don't mean DJing experience, I mean just experience with the party in general, the club scene in general, they don't get why some of the older cats have this ego. Because they don't even see it. They're like, ego for what? What's out here? And again, if you're looking at it now, a lot of people feel like there's nothing there, so it's like, what are you holding on to?
It's the younger guy and the older guy that both egos crash,
right,
and that's why it is what it is.
Right.
You know, the egos, the young guys feel like, you know, I'm not gonna kiss your ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, the old
guys
good. But here's
some of these old guys, you know, y'all a little bit too hard on these. Y'all older guys. Y'all a little bit too hard on these young guys.
Say it.
Teach them.
Well,
teach them.
Just to chime in quickly, because I'm gonna save the majority of my voice for your segment when we'll really shoot. But one of the key pieces to this, and it is not in no way, shape, or form meant to disrespect any veteran DJ whatsoever, veteran DJ and producer. Some of you guys have to understand that we don't know who the fuck y'all are.
That's what I meant by saying.
And
they
it's
don't
not
know-
vice
they don't
versa,
know-
and then vice versa,
and
they
what I
don't know
mean,
who the fuck they are.
Like, don't nobody know. Like,
It's so like so often.
that's what I'm trying
like,
to do. I'm
for
trying to
me,
be like, no, old guys. These
and
are
just
the young
to kinda-
guys, and
since
they're
it's-
not all shitheads.
Since
like,
it's the Mumblez episode, I'll give you my example with Mike Mumblez. It was King of Baltimore 2. By that point in time, I had help from one person, Buck Jones. All the other veterans I went to
turn their nose.
turned their nose, didn't give a damn about anything I had to say, or just kept it a bean and told me I couldn't afford them, and I respected them.
Yeah.
You feel me? Mike Mumblez was there off of the strength of Big Nasty.
Yeah.
I booked Big Nasty as the DJ. I done sold 1,000 tickets to my venue. I done booked about 45 to 50 performers. You ain't gonna tell me shit.
Right.
I'm the guy.
Right.
You feel
It's
me?
evident.
I'm walking around my stage and I'm trying to clear the stage. Get off the stage, get off the stage. This man he's just standing there. And at this point, I don't know who the fuck he is. So I walk up to Big Nasty, I'm like, look, I done asked everybody to get off the stage. I'm about to get real nasty. Like, whoever this dude is, he gotta go. You feel me? Big Nasty like, oh, you don't know who that is? That's Mike Mumblez.
I hear his voice.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh shit, the Mike Mumblez?
So I was like, these might go.
But he has to, you know, and as me and him got close over the years, he had to understand that the only thing I knew about, as far as image of him, was produced by Mike Mumblez on the back of the case.
Somebody else, yeah. Real shit.
We were not a part of a picture, photo, posted on
Right.
social media era, so we didn't know who the fuck y'all was.
Right.
So now, when I go a step further, I say that as a 32-year-old man.
Right.
You ain't gonna tell me these damn 18, 19, 20-year-olds is gonna know, let alone the 14 and 15-year-olds.
Right. Yeah, no
So
clue.
that's why when you have people like yourself holding events, myself holding club nights, myself holding different social events, we need these people to show face.
Exactly, because they have to.
We don't need you to do nothing else but to show face. People like me and you, we're gonna take care of making sure everybody in the building know who you are.
Right.
But if they don't ever get that opportunity to put name to face, how the fuck they gonna know who to reach out to?
It wasn't a name in the face, because for the longest time, everybody threw a case with me and all those tracks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yo,
People still.
yeah. She never made a track in her entire life. But
I feel like I say that like once
she was the DJ.
People get upset, and it's like, why are you upset? Knowing that she like she did not make the. She was not a producer.
Yeah, she was not a producer. She was the producer's DJ.
Literally, she was the plug. She was the you want me to have your music.
Yeah,
right.
Because she had the. She was a. Not only was she the DJ, she was the promoter. Mm-hmm. Her parties was epic.
Epic.
You ain't go to a K-Swift party if you don't never know the K. Hey, if nobody don't know nothing about the tunnel, I can tell you. The tunnel. Y'all talk about the docks? Oh no!
I never made it to the tunnel. My mommy wouldn't let me go.
Yeah, I was talking about Hammers, y'all.
Sundays I
had in the tunnel. But if you don't know about the tunnel, y'all, I know everybody talk about the docks. The tunnel was roasted to
Generation too bougie for somewhere like the tunnel. The tunnel was a hole in the wall.
It was a big hole in the wall.
Run through that wall, now go party.
Yeah.
That's what exactly what the tunnel was.
When that's cut off and I cut it back on, that's what we're gonna talk about.
Right. But that's what it was. Now to talk about Neek's situation. He didn't call me, but nobody couldn't call me.
That's another situation.
Nobody couldn't call Mike Mumblez. I told you I was going through a serious identity crisis and stuff like that. I was going through a serious identity crisis. Nobody couldn't call me because I kept going on vacation. I kept going on vacation. That was like my other home. But I always knew about the events in where I was at. You know what I'm saying? I was out like, yo, I'm coming home. Ain't they having that BmoreThanDance battle? It wasn't even BmoreThanDance. It was just King of Baltimore. It was King of Baltimore. I'm going to King of Baltimore. And I came home. Like I was only home for like a week, and then I like my homegirl, your homegirl, Day, because that's my little sister. And that's my prodigy too. She like, we going to the King of Battle. I said, oh, that's what's up. And I went there, I was in there chilling every time for everybody. I wish a motherfucker would touch me.
Where was that one?
This was at Lithuania Hall.
Right.
This really had one of the first parts, the first King of Baltimore. And I was on that. I was like, yeah, man, I just came over and nobody moved me. And then I also had that ad like, I'm Mike Mumblez. Y'all dancing off of my songs. Y'all, Big Nasty is my DJ, that's my boy, like that's my brother. So,
how does it feel to watch people dance to your music?
Well, I still see people dance off my music.
I know. Whenever that happens.
Me and Tigger made a song called Battlegrounds. Even though everybody say that Tigger, because it's his name on there, and I just put my chain on there. Everybody's be like, DJ Tigger song, like, no, that's my song.
There's a bunch of songs like that. I remember we talked about that one day. You blew my mind. Because there's a bunch of songs.
There's a bunch of songs
that at the time, yeah, I didn't know that you made it.
Yeah, and I just like, I let everybody put their names. Because I was, I don't care.
And that's part of the love to me. Because it's like, that did happen a lot back then. And it's like, today, people make songs. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Because you should own your art. And you should, what you want. People be real pressed about, oh, me. This mine. Oh, I collabed on that. I did that. I want my name on it. But y'all made so much music and really did, like, just kind of trade it.
Yeah, it was a collab. I did a whole bunch
of and because y'all loved it so much, you weren't pressed on, oh, no, I need to make sure that I'm tagged on this and something like that. Now, damn, because this is a good question, and it is going to cut off any minute. I'll ask it anyway, and we'll just restart it. That's the whole point. The question I'm going to ask you is, do you think that type of mentality is what made that iconic sound? Because it really is, now that I think about it, with your generation of producers, that there's a time when club music don't sound like how your club music sounds anymore. There was a shift.
I was high.
But I'm talking about across the board, though. It's
right.
It's not just you.
Well, the sound, the actual sound came from me and Case. The actual sound that we had came from me and Case, man. Case, man, like I said, most of all our creativity came from being high, being drunk. I drink real heavy, so. And Kate, we get high real bad. We would just sit back and just do stuff. A whole lot of the anime, all the chance more of the TV shows, stuff like that. Johnny Blaze stole one of my ideas from me. And you know what that song is?
What's that?
That song is the Mass joint.
The Mass.
What's that? Yeah, he jacked the hell out of me. I said, I went to Johnny Blaze's house. I said, yo, I got this track in my head right now, right? I just don't know how to do it. Do you got the Mass video? The video? But that was one.
This one?
But that was from off of The Incredibles.
Yeah, why is it called The Mass?
Huh?
Which one is it?
That's the Mass. That's Johnny Blaze's The Mass. Yeah. I went to his house. I said, yo, I got this track in my head, yo. Because I had just watched it on TV, The Mass. Yeah, so I was watching The Mass, and I was like, wow, I'm going to take that. Mm-hmm. I called Blaze. I said, Blaze, I'm coming to your house. You got The Mass movie? And he was like, yeah. I said, okay, I'm going to come get that, yo, because I got the track for it. I'm going to make it's going to be hard. You're like, yeah. I don't, like I said, at the time I lived in the village, so I had to ride. At the time he lived up there by the police station in Woodlawn. Mm-hmm. Well, he's lived right across from by Brandon. They say what. Mm-hmm. So I would go to the house, and I didn't realize I done gave somebody my damn idea. Mm-hmm. So I go there, and instead of him saying, I did a track already, Mike. Well, I did a track already, Mike. He still handed me the goddamn movie. So I goes home, and I'm like...
Did you tell him why you wanted to see it?
I told him exactly when I was on the phone. I told him exactly what I was going to do. And he gave me a movie, and then I get all the way home, He like, yo, I made a track, yo. I said, what track you made, yo? So he played the track. I said, bitch, I just told you I want to do a track like that. I don't even want to fuck with that track anymore.
You gave up on it?
I gave up. I didn't even want to do it. I was mad at Johnny Blaze.
Well, for what it's worth.
And he's my man. He was my boy. He my boy. So I couldn't do nothing but laugh at him and be like, you motherfucker, I'm going to get you. And that was another dude that was like my arch rival. But you know what I'm saying? We was the best of friends. We've been through everything. You know what I'm saying? I taught that motherfucker how to DJ. You know what I'm saying? He won't tell nobody though. He'll try to say some stuff like, Mumblez, you can't mix. You know what I'm saying? Like, boy. And till this day, we like that till this day. We're bash each other all day. I love him so much. You know, Blaze, I love you so much, bro. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for Johnny Blaze. You know, because we was too much alike, but then we was too much not alike. You know.
That sounds like just everybody in general.
Yeah.
Okay, so look. I said it last time that we were going to talk about places. It's a shame you walk out the room. That's okay. Let's talk about the best places to DJ Baltimore club music. Now, I asked that. Look at that perfect time. I'm a DJ in every respect. Fucking when we talk about places that I've seen club music played, we have all types of places. We're talking about, we have basements of our homegirl's house. We have parking lots. We have the docks. We have the Crown. We have festivals. You know, I've seen club music played in kind of like every type of venue. Where do you think club music belongs? Where do you think the best place for it to, or where, as far as where you've played, also, then to get specific?
Let me just say this. If the Crown didn't have to serve alcohol, it will actually be the ideal place. The only reason why the Crown is not that because they serve alcohol. You can't cater. If you want to do this club music, you got to cater to the younger crowd. And you young, you can't buy no alcohol, and then they can't let you in. It would be an ideal place to have that there. But the fact that it sells alcohol,
and that's a big element to look at, because like earlier on the last segment, if you're tuning in, hey, by the way, thanks for tuning back in. This is episode 9.5 of Walk Down the Avenue. This is the legendary Mike Mumblez.
What up? What it is?
I'm Ducky. You know this.
What up,
on my page. I couldn't do just 1 hour of Mike, so we did a little bit more. Also in the building is Meek. He keeps popping in and out, so you might hear him. Things like that. But one of the big elements of when you look at how it used to be, a lot of these venues did not sell alcohol.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Even
at the
you
docks.
could bring the docks never, they sold chicken boxes. Shout out to Mike.
Yep.
but they didn't sell alcohol. You could bring your own alcohol if you were so inclined. You know, but that was that. And today there are very few places that
there are no
don't
places.
sell. Yeah, there really aren't any places that don't also have a liquor license attached to it.
That's basically one of the reasons why there's no place for the young people to go. Because like I said, even back when I was young, he was in high school. You was in junior high school sneaking, but if you was 16 years old, you didn't get into a spot. There are overall no places that do not serve alcohol. You know? They got enough problems to have people that can get alcohol at the age of 21.
Right.
So overall, there's no place for the kids to go to because most of the time they don't have any venue that do not serve alcohol. If you even got alcohol in the vicinity, in the building, you couldn't have kids in there.
Right.
So that plays a major part of it. Then you're gonna have, and it's crazy because, like initially, and me for a fact, I know that the club scene will go back to how it was if we had somewhere to go. I can go anywhere now. I can go anywhere I want to go.
Oh, excuse
but
me.
My son, he can't do nothing. He can't go nowhere. So there's no place for the kids to go. I hate to say that, but that is overall the fact. There's no place to go without alcohol involved.
Right.
You know, take the alcohol out, you can throw a party, have the kids in, you can make all the money. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta kick out. These can't be cheap too. Stop being cheap, club owners. You're making the money, you can afford to buy decent security guard. Stop being cheap. If you got like you can have a spot with no alcohol involved, and you will be able to see those numbers. Now, little baby kids, little baby knuckleheads, stop fucking the scene up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and how do they do that? Let them know what they're doing.
Stupid shit. Like, who gives a fuck what somebody say about you on the IG or Facebook? You know? Y'all take it was like that when we was young too. You would bring your beef to the club where other people don't have nothing to do with your personal beef. Mm-hmm. But we just had back in our days, it was he say, she say. But now everybody got social media, and the problem is if two people got a personal beef, everybody want to put their 2 cents into somebody else's beef over somebody else's opinion. And people don't understand that we can have this era where so people are so emotional or so they so timid about what somebody's saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody rep means a lot to them, though.
Huh?
You know, we Baltimoreans, we are a passionate people.
Hey, let me tell you something. You can say anything about me. I outgrown that. You know what I'm saying? Because what you say don't have no effect about my money. Correct. And how I make my money and how I'm living.
Right.
I could just block your dumb ass off. On to the next. I did it on some pages. I'll block your dumb ass off. Nobody want to hear your dumb ass. Block your ass off. Now you can go ahead and have your own opinions by yourself on your own damn page. Who cares if I ain't on your page anyway? Mm-hmm. That's how that is. But if everybody can stop being so emotional and so in their feelings about what somebody say, words don't hurt nobody. Mm-hmm. Words don't hurt nobody. But at the end of the day, people that have businesses, that's the one thing that everybody don't understand. The reason why we don't have they don't not know. And one reason why they don't have a place to go, because people just don't want to risk that money for you to come and then say, well, all that money to get something for y'all to fuck it up.
Right.
You know, after the fines is paid up, you ain't got nothing.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why y'all don't got nothing, because y'all don't have no idea the effect that y'all have on the promoter or the club owner. Mm-hmm. Because once somebody shot and killed, the city don't care about nothing. Somebody got to pay. Right. So who they go after? They go after the promoter and they go after the club owner. And after the club owner, after the city that took all the money from the promoter and all the fines that they put on the owner, a motherfucker like, man, I don't even want to have nothing to do with them motherfuckers no more. I'm just going to go and deal with grown motherfuckers, and I don't want to have nothing to do with kids. That's why y'all don't have nothing. Because they don't want to take the risk of putting up their money for you to fuck up their money. And all they just trying to do is give you something to have. Right. That's facts.
So is it just going to take kind of the lucky shot in the dark of someone to just bite the bullet and do it?
Yeah. Or we're gonna have a whole lot of silent parties, right. Which is really jumping right now. Everybody's into the silent party, you know. But that's gonna cost you money, because you ain't gonna go in there and get no. Cheap. It's not cheap, because it's $25 if a person is doing a silent party, and all they're doing is hand you a pair of headphones and just let you walk around the area.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Yep.
And shaking off in a silent party ain't necessarily conducive to each
Especially other. Especially if you're promoter, you got 3-4 DJs. That means I gotta make sure this DJ get paid. This DJ get paid because I'm trying to whatever y'all like. Okay, this DJ might be playing hip hop. This DJ might be playing go-go. This DJ might be playing club music. And then you go off of colors of the light on headphones.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it costs money. So that's not even cheap.
Okay, so let's talk to the producer, Mike Mumblez.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been working on? And
well, lately, I'm starting because one of my homeboys, one of my best friends, that is Samir, he's trying to get us to start doing club music.
Okay.
Back on Unruly. So Unruly is coming back.
Oh.
What
does that mean?
Unruly is the record company that was all the club music was doing. They was also the ones that was involved with all the K Swift's mix CDs. And when she got her mix CDs done, she did all under Unruly and stuff like that. And you know, they're trying to come back with the club scene, the Baltimore club scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they're picking people to do that, and that's what I'm doing right now. At first, I was doing remixes to pop music because everybody, you know, I was doing the club music, Baltimore club music format to pop songs. What's the name? Because you know, technology can allow me to do certain things, and I was just doing remixes for that. For a while. So right now, I'm starting my projects right now with all Baltimore sound. Can I give some advice to all the producers in Baltimore City?
Well, that was about to be the next question. Yeah. So what would you like to say to all of the producers? Because there's so many.
Okay, listen. I know y'all love the dancers.
Speak on it.
That's not. They're not. They're a lot more smarter than you think there is. In order for everybody to hear your music, y'all gotta start putting them in song modes, or y'all gotta slow it down to a regular traditional speed, so that people wants to play it. I do parties all day. I do cookouts all day. I can't not one time play any new club track to the people that I DJ for, and I DJ for everybody. Don't come in like, oh, Mike Mumblez, you're old head. I mix from 16 on up to 100.
It's true.
I'm real big at what I'm in the game, and I do everything. I mix with everything. I gotta give some of my young guys music because they don't even got music. And I'm a trap king. I'm a trap god. I play trap music all day. So I'm in the streets, real heavy. But when it comes down to when I play club music, I gotta always go back to traditional club music from 1992 on up to 2005. 2005.
That's my favorite club
music.
Yep.
And that was.
But I'm biased because that's the era I came up in. Right.
So, and like I said, don't get it twisted because I'm old. Let me tell you something. My youngest son is 16, 17 years old. And he played that music all day. I just gave him a whole recording studio to himself. I listened to that all day. And every time he plays something, I'd be like, Shazam, Shazam, Shazam. You know what I'm saying?
That's the way to do it. That's how you can stay locked in.
And then there's more advice I'm giving people too. Don't ever let nobody intimidate you and make you feel like you can't do what you do as far as DJing. So what you're using a DDJ? So what if you're using a sync button? So what? Sync buttons is made to teach you how to understand blending. Mm-hmm. That's what it does. Don't worry about what an old school DJ saying, because them motherfuckers ain't right too. I got a whole radio show with DJs. They ain't right too. Let me tell you something. If we use the same program, right, and we all use Serato, right, what part that you don't understand about this controller? Now, I don't mess with this controller because it's not a turntable. What? What the fuck are you using Serato? You using the same program. All it is take this song and drop it into this joint. What part that you don't understand about the DJ part? You know what I'm saying? I get it if it feel a certain kind of way, but don't come at me and say, yo, it's too much technology. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. I do all that shit. You supposed to be able, you know what I'm saying? You supposed to be able to change with time. I always told my mother when I started DJing, I would never be like that. Because when I started mixing, my mom, they used to be in that disco music. That disco music, all that old ass, depressing ass music they used to play. I used to be like, Ma, is all y'all songs depressing? It's the sucker, the dude is a sucker because he in love with somebody. Their pussy was that good that you just want to kill yourself because that's what I want to do when I hear. I want to take the gun and shoot myself in the head. Wow. And then we listen to music, hip hop. My mom was like, "Oh, that music, that's just a phase. That ain't gonna last long." Look at it. This was in the '80s when they were talking about hip hop music, and look at this. Look at it now. Your depressing songs is dead because now everybody want to fuck something. In this new era, everybody want to fuck something and make money. And the worst thing you can see is a 50-year-old twerking.
Oh my God!
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. You are 50 years old.
The twerk never stops.
And you're twerking. But I just told everybody I will never be like that. And I will always change with the time. So that's what I do. So every time something new comes out, I got it. I think somebody gave me this name, Mr. I got it first. I'm Mr. I got it first. And I like, what I like, Ray J, bro? He like, no, because every time a new equipment come out, you have it.
Yes, you have to go get it.
Oh, I gotta go get it. I gotta have that new equipment. And it's real bad because I got a homeboy. He's a DJ. He my brother, but he my biggest rival. His name is DJ Tigger. If you ever seen Mike Mumblez and DJ Tigger together, all you see is me and him battle each other live. It don't matter.
It's a good time.
We're going to battle. Like, he can mix. K-Spin too. I don't care if you mixing and you my homeboy. We just want to battle because they might do something. I came from the era where though competition was like it make you a better DJ. So like back in the days in the club era, we used to go to the club. Everybody would DJ, and it was always that one DJ that had that one mix that'd be like, "Yo, he just fucked you up." I said, "That's okay. That's okay. I see his ass next week." You know what I'm saying? And that was the whole format of being a DJ. It was the same thing with dancing. Oh, yo, he fucked you up that move right there. Like, okay. Yeah, he did that. He got that move on him. But kick his ass next week, though. By the time I get back to the spot that next week, after I done broke my back trying to do a new dance move, and I done mastered it, yeah, that'd be my grand finale move. I remember one of my homeboys, he didn't even do a dance move. We was in Shake and Bake. He was dancing. He ain't tell nobody nothing. And he was dancing in the middle floor. Everybody looking at him. And this nigga pulled out his shirt. You know the little neon doors that you...
Yeah, glow sticks.
You know glow sticks? But they had him in a Captain Crunch box.
Yeah.
And he took it out. He got him in a Captain Crunch box. He put it on his neck. And he was dancing. And he stopped. He looked at everybody. He took it off and he snapped it. And he glued. He glow up. Like, and everybody like, what the fuck did he just do? That was the best move ever. I like, he ain't do nothing but get a goddamn glow stick.
It's the simple things. Next
week, everybody, they like what happened? Like, yo, we got glow stick from. And the homeboy, one of the guys like, yo, he just got that shit out of the Captain Crunch box, yo. This one, the cereal had prizes in there. They had prizes in the cereal. So next thing you know, everybody came to Shake the Bed with the glow stick. It was ridiculous, but those are the good times to do like the club scene and stuff like that. I can tell you a whole bunch of stories the club scene and stuff like that. But yeah.
Do you think that that competitive spirit is, and it being missing now, because like you said, there's a lot of sensitivity.
Yeah.
In a way, and I don't. I feel like an asshole saying sensitivity, because again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to stand your ground, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to defend your name, but it's people are very sensitive and very tender.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to competition, basically, that's gone. You know, and I was like, do you think that's part of maybe what has caused a little bit of the decline?
No.
In it, or not? Because it's
I don't think that is because if you go to BmoreThanDance, it's a lot of competition with it. A lot of them guys are really competing, so I can't see that. That part right there still is
right
with the dancing. That's still because it's like that when we was dancing, it was always competitive with the dancing.
But to me, that's why that's a little bit different to me, because it's like that's like sports at that point in time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The dancing is the focus,
right?
So everybody in their common sense knows that any beef is not really about that. It's the dancing. And so that's where we're taking it out, and that's what drives that is what drives that culture.
Well, yeah, like I said, it was
but
both
as far
that,
as outside
it was
of
both that, and it was a lot more in that era. Was a lot. The only thing I think was real sensitive back in the days, when I was dancing and stuff like that, and even when I was in my early stages of DJing, the biggest thing was always the females. That's the girls. The girls make you want to hurt somebody. The girls.
Well, you said that's what it was all about.
It was always about. That was the main focus. If I can beat you dancing, I got this kind of girls. And the good thing about it, back in the days, girls had cliques. They had cliques. So if you get this girl, she got a whole bunch of friends. That means I got this girl. My homeboy got her girl. You know what I'm saying? And that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, speaking of the rival dude.
Oh my goodness.
I'm in y'all session. I'm sorry.
No,
you're fine.
Yeah, you picked the right time. Everybody's coming in here. K Spin just walked up in here.
Mr. K Spin.
Mr. Red light, green light. You know what I'm saying? Light bright. DJ Light Bright is in the building. Yeah. But yeah, competition. People still compete. See, the difference is, I think a lot of times, people don't know how to have fun. Nobody doesn't know how to have fun with this game, and then let's stop trying to find the easy way and stuff. Get out your feelings about Jersey and Philly. You know what I'm saying? This is the time when you start trying to compete.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And make it friendly.
You don't know.
At the end of the day, we
no more.
Club music is not this. Like I said, if you look at somebody, because all I see is Jersey Club. I don't really see Philly Club like I used to. I see a whole lot of Jersey Club. And they're all, like I said, they're all club music. But what can you do? What can you do? I think that the guys from Jersey takes it a little bit more serious.
They just have. I think it's just that they have a bigger.
They have
their scene is thriving the way it was here 10 years ago. So it's like they have all these DJs. They have all these places to go, and they have everything, and then they have the power of New York radio sitting right behind it. So it's like there's a billion. I always tell people every time I went up there.
Oh my God!
I would love to just turn the radio on, and it does not matter what time of night, what day I could find one of them stations playing club music. And I'd be like, look at this.
And I'm glad you said that.
The minute you hit Philly and up,
the power.
That's all you hear.
Back in those days, we did have the power of the radio. They don't have that here.
They don't have it. How do we get that? We need it back, Mike.
We need to get a decent program director that understands that we still out here. Listen.
And there's still people who are looking for it.
Listen, I love Swift to death.
Yeah.
But she's been gone for over a decade.
And that's crazy to think of.
Yeah, she's
been more than 10 years
over a decade
since she's passed.
And y'all still trying to find the next K-Swift. Which y'all, especially y'all trying to...
It's a kneecapping legacy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and again, that's no disrespect to anyone who is
But Swift was
a
torch pass. It was a torch passed on Darren Swift at 92Q.
Right.
She wasn't the first one. You know what I'm saying? She's not the last one. But people are holding on to that.
Right.
And instead of trying to find a DJ, like I said, the things that's missing in the whole Baltimore City club scene is there's no clubs for them. There's no support from the radio station. They don't have. There's no place. They don't have nothing. They have nothing to work with. You know. Then you gotta see if somebody's gonna be like, let's kick out this bread and find this hall. Sometimes I gotta go to these halls.
That's what I've spoken on. That's that places conversation. Because if you ask me about my club music experience, the majority of the most like notable parties that I remember, it was all in somebody's hall.
Right.
Somebody's rep, somebody's dance studio, something like that.
And it's crazy.
Not a club.
And it's crazy that there are places like that. I can say one spot particular that you can say, let's throw a party for kids. As long as you pay for the security.
Right.
As long as you pay for the security. Let me say something. The alley, everybody comes to the alley. Mm-hmm. No drama, no nothing. But if you know, if you want to really go, rent the motor house. Pay for security. Start off once a month. You'll get that club, and you get a DJ that can do everything. You can play some club music. You can play some house music. What you want to do is, okay, we know that the club scene is dominated with the dancers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Get those. If you know, some people feel a certain way about certain peoples. You know what I'm saying? LGBT. If you know that crowd, if you know you got a crowd that caters to that, you want to pay for them. You got the hip hop people. It's not that hard. You got to understand. You have to get a DJ that understands all those worlds. Mm-hmm. All those words. Let me tell you something.
And if you can't find one DJ, get three.
Get 3 or 4, and let them switch up. Kick out the break.
Right. And
that's what Swift
That's
did.
the problem, right?
That's what Frank did.
There was the economy for. And that's what everyone will argue is like, well, everybody broke. It seemed like everybody's so broke. Everybody's so poor. And
I remember a time where they had a cut line because nobody wanted to be in the cut line. They would kick out that $20 extra.
I was just thinking about that
just to get in the cut line. Here.
I remember standing in line at Hammer Jacks. And the price to go in steadily getting a little bit more expensive every time we got a little bit closer to the door.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Like you got down there, it was 10 to get in. And by the time we halfway through the line, now it's 20. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wait. But then there was definitely...
But then later on, they said, we get that. We got the regular line right
exactly.
here.
So
and then we got that cut line on the other side. And the cut line, he was kicking out $20.
Yep.
Just to get in the cut line. And those are the ones kicking out the $20. The cut line, they would let them come in there waiting for everybody else.
People used to pay the money. And Baltimore has always been poor. We've always been an impoverished ass city. Mm-hmm. So the current poorness is nothing new. But I remember back when I was 19 and 20, we would kick out the bread. We would kick out the bread. I was the one who drove. Everybody would pitch in for gas, and we would do whatever and kick out the bread. All of us, $10, $15, $20 each. And that's back when we would go to multiple parties because the docks was open. So we would go to the first one. We would be at these halls or whatever and pay our 10 or whatever 9 and 2 club. That's like back when like Baja Beach Club was open. Yeah. And going to Cantina. Yeah. And all these other places. Pay the 10 or 15 to get in there. Leave at 2.
And go to the docks.
And then go to the docks.
So like 4 or 5 o'clock,
like
right. 5, 6 o'clock in the morning,
15 or 20 if Mr. Wayne was in the mood.
Yeah.
Just again, it was expensive to party, but we did this every week. sometimes 2 and 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was Friday nights and Saturday nights, of course.
Right.
And then there was still Sunday parties. There
Right.
were Thursday parties. There was Wednesday parties.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it was everywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
Liquor or not, like I said, that's before I was 21. So it's like,
and for the record, like everybody's like the club scene is dead. It's not quite dead.
It's just
because you know now that a lot of bar lounges are taken because you know so much stuff is going on. People don't like to go to other people's neighborhoods, so they rather stay in their own neighborhood and party because they know that most of the clubs, the bar lounges, are hiring the club DJs. And they're getting paid more money than they get paid than the clubs.
and I feel like that's a whole world that, like, I know my friends, I know the couple who are watching right now, literally at this time. The people we know don't know anything about what you're talking about. They have no clue that within these neighborhoods, like the places that you play, they're like you said, those little places you see on the corner that might look like a liquor store. Or you know, but or things like that, they are jumping though, and that is where us DJs go when you don't see us in the crowd and when you don't see us, you know, in certain types of clubs or on tour. That's where we all are. We're still, you know, doing stuff if it's not, you know, family events or whatever. And it's like that is a whole scene within itself.
Yeah.
It's just that it's insular because
it's not you know, everybody like, oh, it's a bar lounge. I mix at this club. Well, okay, let's be realistic. You mix at this club, you're sharing your money with 2 other DJs, and I get paid more money than you.
Because they have the budget for it.
Yep.
And it's like,
and I get all my money. I don't get no games played with it, none of that stuff.
right. And if ever there's something up, it's for a good reason. A real good reason.
I
and
was
they
hurt.
take care of you.
I was hurt the pandemic when I couldn't DJ. I was hurt bad. I was like,
And see, it's over for you already.
It's been over for the past 3 weeks now. So.
Right. And there's a lot of places that still haven't cracked that yet, and some places that might not. And that's why I'm always like, well, people need to start. I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, I was talking to Sega, and we were talking about, you know, everyone was having the, oh my God, what is everyone going to do? And I was like, niggas need to have 2 plans. And I was like, they need to have a plan for what's going to happen when it's over. You know, how are you going to, you know, get back in, what you're going to do with this time, because it's going to be a couple months, you know, before we can come back outside. So how are you going to do that? And niggas need to have a plan for if this is just the way it's going to be. What if nothing ever opens back up?
Well, let me tell you what happens.
And
a lot of them, that's
the hard part. And people, I still think people haven't, like, it's been 3-4 months,
you know,
since March.
You know what? That's funny because during the pandemic, well, when heavy pandemic, somebody put me on, and I, you know, what I'm saying, me as a DJ for years, that people came at me and I would be one of those guys like, that don't even make, that's not, I don't think it's like that. That's how I got actually put down to a silent party. My first silent party, it blew me away. It blew me away. It was me and 2 other DJs, and we was in a parking lot, and we mixing, and the guy came at me like, okay, here's your table. I'm gonna plug you over here. Like, so, because it catch on, y'all, we're gonna have DJ like, how you gonna do that? So I was like, I'm thinking like, we gotta do your turn, my turn, your turn, your turn. He's like, no, y'all gonna mix at the same time. How the hell? Because I never knew that. And I just got put on there this year. Come to find out for 2 years.
Yeah, I did a number of those.
Yeah, it came out for 2 years.
It's so lit.
Yeah.
Especially when you know the other DJs.
Right.
Because then you just be up there geek.
And it's like, and I like.
And they pay so well. Oh my God.
When it happened, I like.
They pay so good.
This gotta be a white boy thing. That's the first thing I said. In Baltimore City, as an average DJ, we not down with that. Because when I talked to every last DJ about it, they were like, I couldn't do it. And I'm like, damn, you sound like me when I first heard about that. I knocked and everything like that. And when I did it during the whole heavy pandemic, we was in the parking lot. Right? Matter of fact, it was in the parking lot in Baltimore, down Fells Point. Right where the water,
Mm-hmm.
that area. And cause like the guy that gave was white. It was a guy that gave he was there. And I was like, wow. And I told everybody. I said, this is gonna be the next business I'm gonna get. This is gonna be the next business I'm gonna get, a silent party. And it was awesome. And I had to tell everybody bashed it. And I was like, man, y'all bashing it. Y'all sound like me. I bashed it too. Because I never knew because it sounded crazy. A silent party? What's that? You mean they gonna put a pair of headphones on? Mm-hmm. And because I'm so used to it being so live, and I never thought that you would get that same, what's name? Just imagine you with two other DJs, and you're mixing, and they're mixing, and you see majority of your lights, because they go off light colors. And you saying majority of the colors that you're DJing on, everybody listening to you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, that was exciting to me. So, yeah. I say that, and then I was like, damn, I can't wait to start mixing. Because that hurt a lot of money from all the DJs. You know, then I also experienced the whole Cash App thing. Man, I remember one day, me, K-Spin, and Tigger was in here doing a live. Mm-hmm. And everybody like, I sent you some money. I said, you sent me some money?
Oh yeah, the tip.
You sent me some money. Here goes a tip. I'm going to send you a tip. I'm like...
I remember the first time I got tipped for DJing.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. I was like, people tip.
I made $500 on one of my joints.
I believe it. I still haven't done that. I be blocking.
But I ain't never asked somebody to do it. They was like, just tip me. And I was like, there wasn't a whole lot of money. Like $5, $6. And I looked at my Cash App, and I was like, what the fuck? And like, they basically telling me they gave me cash here. And I'm seeing all the people, and I'm like, hey, these my Facebook. These my friends on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Yep. And they was tipping me, and I was like, wow.
Now I want to DJ.
Yep. But then I didn't want to do it no more.
Yeah, it's like
because I'm so used to doing it live. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's cool that everybody watch me do it. I just like the live because I had to go buy my own drinks.
Mm. Oh yeah,
I had to go buy my own drinks. I'm used to somebody to come to me. I'm somebody like, yo, you doing so good. Here you go.
I got you this. Thank you.
I had to go buy my own Hennessy.
So it kind of like evens out there, you know, because it's like, instead of getting tip money,
right,
you gotta go to your own bar situation.
But that's basically what's going on in Baltimore. Now, I can't speak for what's going on in Philly and Jersey about the Clips, but I know that if we want to actually give it back, you know, we gotta start getting these young guys into these clubhouses. Young guys, y'all gotta get off your ego. And you know what I'm saying? Somebody's gonna offer to teach you, you know what I'm saying, and get you in the game. Get out your feelings and get with somebody. Because like I said, none of us got in this game on our own. Mm-hmm. Somebody always was the one that helped us get in the game.
So let me see. Let's do a story time, because you're good at your stories.
Okay. I got a lot of stories in the car.
I know. I want you to tell me your story of the most lit party, like the best party you ever DJ'd. That's a club though, like not just hip hop. This is a Baltimore Club situation.
One of the most lit parties.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it has to be lit because you remember it.
Yeah. I've had a few of them.
And where was it and all that stuff?
The Tunnel.
Okay.
And Choices. And Paradise. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been a part of stuff like The Tunnel, you know what I'm saying, with Swift. Mm-hmm.
Everybody always says those are the most legendary parties.
Yep. Choices. I did parties, you know, again with Swift and Justice at the Dark. Justice at the Dark. And I had to say, a true Goodfellas event. If y'all don't know about True Goodfellas.
What's True Goodfellas?
True Goodfellas is two dudes, my homeboys. They decided. I just couldn't understand them guys in the first place. Because when they first look, when these guys, we was all together under Swift. These two guys did not get along at all. They used to argue all day. And then out of the blue, they decided that they wanted to have a group called True Goodfellas. I'm like, who? Big Nasty and Doggin. How the hell did they become partners? Because they couldn't stand each other. They used to argue. Doggin used to argue with everybody.
Yes.
Doggin argued with everybody. And him and Jamal, they hooked up when they first met each other. They did not get along at all. It was actually watching Doggin and Pork Chop. Because they saw him, Doggin and Pork Chop argue all the time. It made me feel like Pork didn't like Doggin at all. Anything that Doggin did wrong, Pork didn't like him. He always had something to say. So for Big Nasty and Doggin to become part of a group that they put together, it blew my mind. And they was all part of the me and K Spin's group, which was Raw Dog Entertainment. And then we all became a part of it as well. But yeah, True Goodfellas. And you can speak to me about True Goodfellas because you were part of True Goodfellas. So
I was scooting around there a little bit. That was good times.
It was real good times. So those basically was the tunnel. The tunnel was the beginning of how everybody met.
You remember? Of course you do. Club Mate.
Club Mate up the street. Yep. You know you know who bought that?
Who bought that?
Justice at the Dark just bought me.
Really?
Yep.
Can it open again?
Because they didn't like that guy because that guy sued the city and the police department. That's why did you want to know the truth? Why? That's why he sued the police department and he sued the city. So they like they blackballed the fuck out of me.
Damn.
That's why
that's why it's been just sitting there.
Yep. Until they get me, until they finally evict this motherfucking ass.
Cause I drive by that, and every single time I just see it, and I'm like, what is the deal with this? Because
Justice at the Dark just got that spot.
That place was cute.
She tried to find somebody to take that damn sign there. Because we told her to take that damn sign off.
Because it just sits there and says me and no one never understands. Yeah. That's interesting. So I asked that because it is kind of a general thought, and we touched on it earlier, that if it's not radio, it's a building.
Yeah.
How hard? Well, we know how hard getting the building is. And it's not, because it's the thing, it's why I was trying to tell some of the younger ones, because they're just like, no, just get a spot. I can't put that somebody put some money together and get a warehouse. That's the fantasy. Everybody has the fantasy of getting a warehouse.
It costs a whole lot of money because paperwork, that's one thing. Then you got
zoning.
It's already zoned for it. But you have to deal with the high up, the people that's in charge of the community.
Right.
The community leaders. You know what I'm saying? So on Club Mate, you not only you got a whole bunch of businesses on there that can have a whole bunch of say-so into that spot. So when everybody thinks it's so easy to get a club, it's not. It's that
really
easy.
not.
You know, you have to get
major
paperwork and zoning. Once you get your zoning in there, but you have to go down to City Hall, and then there's a total of 4 to 5 judges.
Yep.
That will tell you
no,
yay or no. You know what I'm saying? Yay. And then you gotta pay for everything that needs to be paid for. You gotta be up. The paperwork gotta be up to par and stuff like that.
It takes so much, and that's because of it's the direction that the city went in when it comes to nightlife.
Right.
And that's why it's like, no, I personally think that the art scene is the key to this because the art scene is state paid for.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can through the art scene convince, you know what I mean, the city to embrace it. And that's why Artscape was so important.
Right. So
that's why showing off for Artscape was always a thing.
And people don't understand, like, you gotta think you're doing it to yourselves. The one thing they don't want, especially on this side of Baltimore, which is we're not too far from the Bay and all stuff like that, and the casino and stuff like that. People, they want to have more of a touristy
thing, right?
You know what I'm saying? And they don't want people to come down here and people have to worry about getting shot. You know, that plays a major part of a lot of things. That's why we don't have as many clubs like that, because the first thing that somebody want to do is shoot somebody.
Right.
You know, it's crazy because I tell everybody, you know, nobody don't like to hear this about me. And I seen my homegirl, Just Hilarious, that's one of my homegirls. She had posted something, and she got some people trying to ridicule her about that. Even the guy that was on the black guy that was on White Girls. What's his name?
Terry Crews.
Yeah, Terry Crews. And you got people like them that will actually speak the truth, and black people just don't want to acknowledge and just keep turning a blind eye to some things. I tell everybody, look, I live in Baltimore City. What's the ratio in the numbers of white cops killing black people versus black on black crime? That's a fact. That is a fact. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna try to tell me, try to get justice for police brutality versus black on black crime? Black on black crime is black on black crime.
Right.
It is more of them than police brutality. And that's every day. Every day.
I always see both sides of that argument. I can argue it, but
what
I always pull from it is the fact that they all go hand in hand. The same setup and culture that allows the police brutality is the exact same setup and culture that facilitates all of the black on black crime too. So it's like, oh no, across the board, it's not either or to me. It's all like,
with me, it's like I don't see nobody trying to fix our community and try to do something about stopping that.
There's little movements that do their best, but they all get ignored.
I don't know. I've never
like
when somebody gets shot out.
The ceasefire, thing, and the no shoot zones and all of that.
The no shoot zone. Let me tell you something. You can't be. Here's the thing. You can't be a knucklehead and do stupid and still be on some fuck shit and be on no shoot zone. You know what I'm saying? You the same person on no shoot zone, but you be on that. You still be on that nigga shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't fuck with that. Period. But we're not talking about that. We just talking about.
But that's like one of those small parts of the conversation because it is undeniable that the city's name, and the crime and the violence or whatever is definitely something that has had an effect on what we could do. But I think that I think that's a cyclical thing because I feel like I can tie it all together. I'm that type of person. But I can tie all this shit together and be like, if we had first a building that was zoned and, placed properly, like somebody lucked it out and found.
One of the things when people try to get the zoning for spots like that, you see, one thing everybody don't realize this too. That's the Paradise and the Tunnel. They was considered clubs. But they rent them down as halls and not a club. That's why they was a hall. If you're a hall, you can't do liquor.
Right, and that's how they get. That's one of the ways.
And then you got these spots that they're a club.
Right.
And they're doing club things regarding liquor and all that stuff like that, liquor board and all that stuff like that. But if you got a hall, you can throw a party, and you can do certain types of
vendors.
It's certain things that people can go for to get that without everybody trying to go. I always want to have a club.
Right.
Nah, I just want to have a hall so I can rent that out to anybody.
Right.
Halls is halls.
If somebody had that And then at the same time, there was support from the radio. So then radio was also playing club music, and radio would direct people to this place. The only other thing that could affect that is the crime, but arguably that would it would stay a sacred place because people would know.
People understand too. Live entertainment.
Yeah, that aspect.
Live and
that is a whole licensure in itself, right?
That is a live entertainment. You don't get that license.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that.
And most people,
didn't
do that.
Yeah,
I was talking about that even with the how's it go? You know, it's either you have to have your own license or the place that you're playing in can buy the license. Because there's places, venues can buy their own ASCAP license thing. So that whatever goes on in there is then therefore it's cool.
This is a big joint.
Most of the places that are open, and I'll just say they're like the entire, like the Crown, for instance.
Right.
They never bought that. Why? I don't know. I know, but I'm not getting into that, you know. But it's like very few places that actually went and took the time to do that and established themselves, and therefore as a venue.
Right.
It's like these aren't venues also. But it's like that doesn't matter because it doesn't need to be a venue because you can make it a hall.
Right.
It's just no one for some reason wants to get past. There are halls everywhere. And it's like, I don't know what it would take for everybody.
Well, remember I told you earlier that people don't want to take chances with kids.
Right.
Because kids do stuff and it
kids
causes...
do kid things.
It causes the owner or the promoter money that they done worked so hard for the kid just to lose it just because I didn't tell kids to fight nobody. I was just trying to throw a party.
Right.
And, you know, they get the bad end of the stick, which a lot of people don't understand. What's all that stuff like? You know, hey, I can't tell a kid to not shoot that guy.
Right.
You know, but the city gonna be like, well, the music that you produce makes that child wants to go out or make that person want to go out and shoot somebody. Like, that's not fair. But that's what they need. That's what they need to do to shut you down and make you pay more fines. And then sometimes you get so many fines that you just don't want to do it. I'm just not going to do it because I'm losing money. All to try to make somebody happy and have fun. You know?
All right, so I think that we're almost at the end of the second hour of all that we have talked about. I know we didn't get into the whole. I want to come back for like an official part 2 because I do want to do a segment on what we were talking about earlier as far as the vision of club music and how it looks and how there is misinformation that has come out. We didn't even get to touch on any of that. But outside of that, is there anything else that you want to throw out there before we get the angry Instagram countdown that we maybe missed? Because we talked about a lot.
Let me tell you something. If y'all want to talk about the club scene with Mike Mumblez, y'all might as well have a seat. It might be longer than an X-Men movie or something like that.
As I said, we'll get a part 2 also.
It's a lot. It's a lot. You know. But I don't see how it can't get back to where it was. But like I said, a lot of it falls on to people got to start playing for everybody. That's you know, and like I said, it falls back to us veterans and us younger people. If everybody can put their ego to the side, because you got a lot of these guys that everybody is vibing off their own peers. You know, you got the old heads that's vibing off their peers. You know, if you're a young DJ and you got a lot of people, a lot of young people on your heels, that's gonna clash. Because it's gonna be you need me and you need me because I'm the one that got this, so you can't do nothing about me. I don't care what you got. I'm here and you there. And the guy like, well, you need me because if I come, I can bring this. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's always the new people versus how it was when I was young
when I got the game, we looked up to DJs,
Right.
and we would go to them, and we were just like, I just want to be down, you know. Versus how it is now with this new era, where it's though everybody got ego, and you know we didn't have Facebook and IG and all stuff like that. We had to really go out there and bust our ass. We didn't have views. You know, these kids, they got the views, and these DJs, the older DJs, they got views too, but they also got the clubs and everything like that. So it clashes real heavy with the scene, you know. To me.
So everybody put your egos down.
Yeah, put your egos down. At the end of the day, we all need each other. Because you know what? Let me tell you something. Old guys, if you ain't trying to change, how long are you going to keep that ego, that status up? Eventually, you're going to have to come to a younger side, to the young people, and get music. Me, myself, I deal with older people my age, I deal with young people younger than me. Because with the young people, they got just as much to give as, you know what I'm saying? Because they the now.
Right.
They the now. So they got just as much to give you as a veteran. Yes, you might do more, you might know everything. What you got is knowledge.
Right.
And what this young person got is what's now. So you need both of it. You know, a young person need the knowledge, and the older person, when your music, when everything is up, you need that young person to give you that new style to keep you relevant. I do it every day. I do it. I'm pushing 100 years old. I push 100 years old, and I gotta go, and you know, by the time my son becomes too old, I got grandkids. I'm gonna go to them like, hey, Dad, great, Papa, ain't you a little bit too old to be playing around? Nope. Nope. I'm Beijing, man, because I'm crazy as hell, but I'm not, because I got to die, you know. Yeah.
Don't say you try to look cute.
Yeah, because, you know, I don't want you short, I want your mama. You know what I'm saying? How your mama look, you know what I'm saying?
See.
Yeah. And I ain't get her money too, and then, like I said, I'm a mentor. I'm a mentor too.
That's right.
So I always got DJs under my belt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm one of them type of guys, like, I teach you some things. I'm gonna teach you like this, and I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna show you how to make some of this money. You just keep, you know, what you got in your hard drive though. What you got in your hard drive though, shorty? Yeah, I don't even got that.
Conversation we about to have.
Yeah. What you got in your hard drive, shorty? You like, I got this, you ain't got this. I don't know what the hell it is, bro. But I know what it is now. You put it in my hard drive.
All right,
Here you go.
So, okay, cool. Look, the 30-second countdown. Tell me who I should find to interview next. Scotty V is agreed. I just have to get with him. Samir.
I would say Samir. I would say Tigger. I would say K-Spin. I would say K-Spin. I would say Kid.
Kid.
I would say Kid. Hey, have you seen Talk to 6 9
Not yet. I know that you.
Hey, you knuckleheads.
Hey, you knuckleheads.
Walking down the avenue.
Walking down the avenue.
A few more streets and we'll be through.
A few more streets and we'll be through.
Fangtown, North MP, Park Heights, RNG, White Lock, Cherry Hill, North.